of you who have never seen me before, I'm Kiki.
Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding?
Not that Kiki, but I'll be sharing all of the realest tips in curly hair and fitness with you guys. Today's video is specifically focused on going natural. But if you're already natural, you still need to watch because there are some key fundamentals that you should make sure that you are doing. Everything educational that I deliver to you, such as how-tos and tutorials, are going to be delivered in the form of lessons. Now, I chose to do it this way because I am a teacher myself. I may not look like a teacher, but I am a teacher. So that means that I should be able to deliver content to you that is understandable, that you can then go away independently and do on your own. Okay, so today's objective is to be able to understand effective methods of maintaining natural hair. Let's get into tip number one. Okay, so tip number one is no heat. That means no straighteners, no blow drying, no tongs, okay? Why we do not want to use heat is because heat damages the hair, okay? Not all the time. I'm not saying you can't ever use heat. I'm just saying use it infrequently, so maybe once a month, if that, okay? When I was going natural, I just didn't straighten my hair, didn't blow dry it at all, maybe twice a year, 3 times a year maximum, okay? And that really helped me in retaining length and maintaining healthy hair. Tip number 2, no colour, okay? Obvious reasons, when we colour our hair, we change the structure of the cuticle, and sometimes our hair cannot handle that, okay? I'm not saying everybody's can't handle it, but if you typically have afro hair, your hair is more susceptible to breakage, okay, because it's just not as strong as European hair. So we want to stay away from colouring as much as possible. One of the things I made this mistake during my natural hair journey, is I decided to experiment with colour. And I went really light, I went blonde, and it just made my hair very dry, very brittle, and I ended up losing length in the end because I had to keep cutting it off. So don't go blonde, girls. Stay with your natural colour, okay? If you must colour, if you must colour, go a little darker, or either don't lift your hair too much, go a few lighter shades, but blonde, I would advise against it. Tip number 3. You want to use a lock method. So lock stands for leave-in oil cream. You can do lock or you can do LCO, which is leave-in cream oil, whichever way you respond best to. I do the lock method. So you want to put your leave-in first, and then your oil, and then your cream when you are after washing your hair. You want to put in the leave-in oil and cream. This is going to enable you to retain as much moisture as possible because the oil acts as a sealant, so it seals in the moisture after you apply it to your hair. And you want to aim to do this, okay, daily is a bit excessive, but every other day I would say you want to be moisturising your hair. Tip number 4, no silicones, no sulphates, no parabens, and no mineral oil, okay? In other words, try and follow the curly girl method. Now I'll explain what the curly girl method is in a later video, okay? But for the purposes of today's video, we're just going to say avoid those. Avoid those. Oh, I've got a hell of a lot of outtakes on this. So, a lot of products you will find have silicones in them. Dimethicone is an example. So when you're buying products, try and write or make a note in your phone of ingredients that you should avoid, okay? Because these will act as an almost filler to your hair, okay? So if you think of your hair cuticle being like this, not everyone's is like this, but if you think of your cuticle being open like this, if you're damaged, and what the silicones do is they fill in these gaps, okay, of your hair. And it's fake, okay? Obviously your hair cannot be repaired from damage, you need to trim that off. So you want to stay away from silicones You want to stay away from sulphates because they are drying. Finding them in shampoos, stay away. Parabens and mineral oils. Tip number 6. Tip number 5. Deep condition weekly. For the 8 years I've been natural, I have made sure to deep condition every single week without fail. I probably missed like, you know, 1 week here or there, but generally I always deep condition just because I know the benefits that it has on my hair. Deep condition is a great way to maintain the health, to keep it moisturised and to retain overall length of the hair. With the deep conditioners, you want to also make sure these do not have the ingredients described in tip number 4, okay? Because these are really going to sit on your hair for a long time when you deep condition, 20 to 30 minutes, and you do not want chemicals sitting in your hair and potentially go into your scalp. So try as much as you can to keep the deep conditioners to the all natural ingredients. Tip number 6, learn your porosity. What porosity means is it's the hair's ability to absorb and retain moisture. Now, I say this very hesitantly because for me, porosity has never been a massive issue. I've only looked at it recently in my 8 years of being natural. I've only just now started to look at porosity. And that may be because my hair is medium and it responds well to water. Maybe it's, who knows, but if your hair is high porosity or if your hair is low porosity, you're going to need to learn what products work best for your hair. Now I will do another video explaining porosity a little bit further, but for the benefit of this video I'm just going to move swiftly on to tip number 7, which is regular trims. You want to make sure you're trimming your hair on a regular basis. Now I know a lot of naturals who say, I don't trim my hair, or I only go and have a cut once a year, or I've never had my hair cut. Cool for you, but me personally, I need to cut my hair 3 to 4 times a year, okay? My hair gets single strand knots and it gets split ends, and without a visit to the hairdresser, it's going to be a hot mess, let's just put it lightly. In between haircuts, if you wish to dust your ends, trim, you know, if you see any split ends or single strand knots, you can trim them off. However, you need to seek professional help when you are trimming your hair properly, okay? It will help you retain length, it will help you retain health. Healthy hair is not long hair, remember that. Tip number 8, protect your hair at night. When you go to sleep, you are going to need to get a headscarf or a bonnet, and a satin pillowcase, okay? And make sure it is satin/silk, because when we sleep, our hair rubs against the pillow, which causes friction, which in turn can cause breakage as a result of dryness. So we want to create a barrier between your hair and the cotton pillow. I would say that is probably one of the most important things that I would suggest you do, and you do consistently. Tip number 9, low manipulation styling. What that means is you don't want to be styling your hair every single day. You don't want to be having your fingers in your hair constantly and styling your hair. You want to be braiding, twisting, even cane rowing, even adding hair, that's absolutely fine. But if you're adding hair, you still want to make sure you keep moisturising that hair, because I think a lot of people will put braids in their hair and cane rows, but they will just leave it for a month and not even spray any water or put any leave-in in their hair. Now this is going to help you reduce the amount of stress placed on the hair, which also could lead to breakage. Me personally, I'm not a massive fan of twists as, you know, a style that I rock going to work or day to day. I like to just do a wash and go and leave it. That may be just because my hair doesn't really suffer too much if I style it every day. Everyone's different. What works for me might not work for you, but you're going to need to work out what works for you. And the last tip, tip number 10, is moisturise daily, okay? We don't want dryness. Dry hair is not cute, okay? You want to have shiny, healthy hair. If that moisture comes from water, if it comes from a leave-in, so be it, okay? Oil is not a moisturiser. Let's just make that very clear, because nobody tells us that when we're going natural. Oil is not a moisturiser. Oil is a sealant, okay? To moisturise your hair, you need to start with liquid, i.e. water, okay? Your cream, your leave-in, your spray, whatever leave-in that is, and then follow it up with the oil to seal in the moisture, okay? Don't forget it. Write it down, make a note, put it in your phone. Oil is not a moisturiser. Okay, so that concludes the lesson for today. I hope everybody's taken something away from it. I hope you've all enjoyed. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. If you've got any questions for me, if you are a newly transition natural or you're thinking about going natural, drop me a question in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Follow me on Instagram at Kekekurly to keep up to date with all of my daily activities, and see you in the next video. Peace!